so we started the recording, we've done the introduction. We are going to move to the discussion of the new hub structure and the proposed transition team slate, and that is Anne.
Excellent. We got 75 responses to the survey. We were thrilled with that. Thank you so much. 49 people volunteered for one or more teams, which again was equally exciting. We had 22 requests to be on the hub support team and 18 requests to be on the emerging hub team. That was again really exciting, which makes a lot of sense because that's what most of us are the most familiar with, is just kind of running hubs. Moving forward, we're going to have to balance where the needs are with what people asked for, what their strengths are. They might have asked for to be on two different teams, and we'll try to slide them towards the one where we need them at the most. And then we also got a lot of very, very supportive comments. Thank you for those. It was things like, I'm really excited about this. I don't have a lot of time, but I'm really excited to try and help out. So anyway, thank you for all those comments. Up to this point, we have been operating with the thought group, the group that has just kind of mapped out where we're headed, sort of. Our next step is the thought group proposes this transition team. We didn't want to keep moving forward with the same people. A, because the commitment's kind of big, and B, we wanted more voices at the table as we push things forward. This next group of people is called the transition team. So we looked through who had the skills, who wanted to do the job to be on the transition team, and this is the team that we are proposing. You'll see it's a lot of the same people. A lot of us that are on the thought group are excited about moving forward. So myself, Gabrielle, Linda, and Mark, they were part of the thought group. They're moving forward to the transition team. And then we've added Erica from the Southwest, James Baker from Northwest, and Keith Sink from the Northeast. That's the slate. Any thoughts, any comments you guys have about that? Are you okay with the proposed slate of folks? Okay, having no comment, I'm just going to push forward. We've got our transition team in place. Our next step is to interview and select two different groups of people, the leaders for the 6 teams that we have and the steering committee. Interviewing and selecting those folks based on who wants to do the job, what the job entails, and maybe we know somebody that would be good in that position, but they didn't know about the survey or they didn't hear about it. So again, the transition team is having to just kind of balance what we think would be good for the organization with what people's skills are. These are the teams. We're going to give you a link to the job descriptions for the team leads of all of these so you can see what we're looking for. They are sitting on the Google Drive. Thank you, everybody, for filling out the survey, for sending it to your volunteers to have them fill it out. We got a really good response. We're very, very excited about moving forward.
Next, we have grant proposal to pay for rebranding efforts and the website.
We are in the process of writing a grant. It will be a large grant, not one of the grants that most of you use to get your hub gear. It's not the $5,000 grant. It's up to $50,000. So it's a large grant. It's kind of a big deal. In the process of writing that grant, the thing we want from the city is money to build our new website. The thing we are providing to the city to build community is our normal summer drills. So nothing really crazy about this one. I will be reaching out to a couple folks to eyeball the grant proposal just for some feedback. It's always a good idea to have other sets of eyes. Linda Norland from the whole communications team, the one that's been working, as well as Mark McKelvey, have done a really good job of being really smart about building this website so that it serves us for many, 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 many years to come. Building in things we don't even, it's only a dream right now, but that's apparently how you do it. You build it for the future you want, not for the situation you have. So I'm really excited for the new website. I think it's going to be fabulous. Any questions or comments?
We had a question asking if this grant was going to DON.
Yes, it is a Department of Neighborhoods grant. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm curious about so money for the new website. How are we figuring what the costs involved with that are? Is that still part of the marketing team?
Mark and Linda are working on that. I think
Okay,
they've actually gone out for bids.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say it's bids. We
Yeah.
created a document that describes uh, what we think we're requesting. At least it's preliminary at this point, and we've
okay,
sent that out to 3 local design firms to get their feedback on the proposed project and their thoughts on the cost and the timeline. And this initial purpose is entirely to give Anne information to put in the grant. We
got
know
it.
we need to then come back to the larger audience to make sure we fully understand the requirements and the scope of the work. We kind of like to get the teams in place in order to do that. So it's a bit of a chicken and the egg. So we're doing a little bit of work on our own to get a cost estimate. And then once the teams are in place, we'll be working with them, engaging all of them to get the requirements for the website.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, we'll have to dig in details. I wasn't aware that we were moving to an outside firm from the college team, so I guess that was just something, but we can talk about that separately.
All right, thanks, Matt. There's another question. Catherine, did you have a question? Your hand's up.
Yeah, my question has more to do with the technology and integration and features. I mean, are we purchasing technology or do we have project plans to integrate things better in terms of the technology? I'm thinking better forms, mailing lists, some of the management we do, forms and registration and virtual Rolodex for managing our hub locations and status. And that's where my head goes as far as, even if you're thinking future features, it's what's the underlying technology that we're buying and what does it offer for us without a lot of technical expertise.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. Mark or Linda, does one of you want, or
I
Anne?
can probably address that. Yeah. So, when we are talking to these firms, one of the big things we're asking them about is what's the recommended platform. So, WordPress is a common one, but there are a couple other ones out there that are suitable for groups like ours that have a lot of people that are not technical that we want to participate in this. So when we look at the platform, the things we'll be looking at is what are those additional capabilities that you're talking about, Catherine. So they typically have plugins that provide a lot of those different features. So we'll be looking at what plugins we need to support the organization, and we'll essentially have to re-implement them on a new platform. And so it does give us an opportunity to kind of think about how they're implemented and make them more efficient from an administrative standpoint.
Great.
So as the new teams get put in place, the vision is, so for example, the communications team or the hub support team will go talk to each of those teams and understand what they need and how they would need the functionality on the website in order to support the work that they intend on doing. And then we'll make sure that, it's in the requirements for the firm to help us build.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Do we have any other questions?
So it sounds like it's going to be a working website, something that we can use to communicate back and forth, as opposed to just sort of a passive informational type website.
Mark, is that true? I would say yes.
I'm not sure. So I guess I want to talk to our Steve about what you envisioned in the communication there. So probably not for this meeting, but yep, there might be a requirement there that we're not considering.
Yeah, I mean, currently we do have the ability to have discussions, to post and respond to things, but there's not a lot of moderation, so things aren't actually appearing. But it is built into the current platform.
It hasn't been used extensively so far.
I don't think that's really been advertised.
You got to get a better than sucky webmaster.
Hey,
Looks like Jeff has a question.
Yeah. Is there language in there about cybersecurity and about reliability?
There definitely is language in there about security.
Okay, what about reliability?
Well, we haven't created a full set of non-functional requirements yet. So, I mean, we're in a very early stage. We're just trying to give the firm enough information to give us order of magnitude cost estimate. I mean, the
Sounds
project
good.
team isn't even fully established. So,
Okay,
Great.
sounds
Yeah,
good. Thank you.
we need the ability to keep it up to date. That's something that we struggle with our current platform host is we don't have the ability to update certain plugins like PHP because it's all on a shared platform we don't have access to.
All right. Thanks everybody for your questions.
Just one quick question. I'd love to I would love to have you ask whoever is doing your website if the server is non-local. That is, will it be falling down in the earthquake when we are? That's all.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Next item is upcoming network drills. And again,
Yeah.
that is Anne.
Last year was a power down scenario, kind of a cyber attack. For those of you that are newer to this, the two disasters we kind of plan for are earthquakes or big cyber attack power outage scenarios. We tend to alternate every year which one we do. So last year was a power down, meaning 2026 is probably going to be an earthquake scenario. In general, our battle rhythm is we do a lot of classes in the spring. The network hosts a large drill in June, so early-ish in the summer outreach season, so that we can bring a lot of folks together. Everybody gets real excited about doing drills. They see how they work, and then individual hubs have the rest of the summer to do their own either sector drills or individual hub drills, whatever you want to do. So that's kind of what we do. We train in the spring. We do indoor training in the spring. We do a large drill in June, and then July, August, September, individual hubs do their own thing. This is the proposal I'd like to make for this year. We do the same drill in 3 different locations on the same day. So 3 large drills, one in the north end, one in the south end, one in West Seattle. A big piece of this is because of travel and the bridge being the I-5 being down and all that kind of stuff. And also just bringing hub captains together that typically will work together post disaster. This is a calendar of May. I marked some of the big holidays. I'm just going to go over the dates that I think would work, and then I'll send out a poll to get more feedback from you guys. I think the 30th or the 31st could be an option. The downside of that is that May is a tricky month. It may be crappy weather still at the end of May, but that is an option. June, we were worried about June because of FIFA games, but it turns out that they're all on weekdays. They're not on the weekends. So here's one on the 19th, the 24th, and the 15th. I think June 7th is a good day. I tend to like Sundays better than Saturdays. I think for younger families, Sundays are more doable. Soccer games aren't as prevalent on a Sunday as they are on a Saturday. So I would say June 7th is a viable option. There is a ham convention, but it's in Seaside, Oregon. So it's not local. It's not like all of our hams or ACS members go. So June 7th is an option. June 13th is an option. There's a conflict with UW graduation. Flag Day, the 14th is an option. The 20th is an option. But now we've gotten into FIFA game season. I just think there's going to be more traffic, more people in town, all that kind of stuff. I will send out a survey. I can tell you what I would like is June 7th. I think that one makes the most sense. I'm hoping it'll be warm enough and it's before all the FIFA stuff starts. So maybe we can get Office of Emergency Management to be a little more receptive. They don't have the kind of the excuse of FIFA's going on. We can't deal with you right now. So that's my thinking, but we'll put it out to the larger group. Any thoughts? Anything you guys want to say about the hub drill?
I'm putting 2 date conflicts in the chat so you guys have them.
So the first half of June is likelier to be clearer than the second half.
Because of FIFA? Yeah.
No,
Is that
because
what
of
you
the
mean?
weather. No, because of the rain. Uh, our rainy season is the second half of June and the first couple of weeks of July.
Oh, I
I thought it
We
was
have a
all
I
of
month.
didn't know.
June.
Anyway,
I
the
did
last
not
two
know
weeks of
that.
May and the first 2 weeks of June are more likely to be clear than the last 2 weeks of June.
Interesting. Okay.
And there's
Um,
also a question, will you be taking a look at
yeah,
high school grad dates as well as UW grad dates?
that's a tough one, Susie. There's so many high schools. I would kind of say no. I'm Susie, I'm guessing you have like a high schooler graduating this year, so it's a big deal.
No, actually, I have 2 college graduations this year, one
Oh,
in May and one in June. But I'm just thinking of, and especially if we were to do on a Sunday, you might be fine with the high school graduation. Just thinking of the broader scope of where we would hold these drills if we're doing 3 separate areas and who could or could not attend, because nobody's going to miss their grandchild or their child's graduation.
right. Is this is a dumb question, but do all Seattle public high schools graduate on the same day?
No, and it's even more screwed up because I saw the school district is getting a lot of grief from parents because they hadn't set their dates and people are trying to book rooms and FIFA's filling up the city. So I'm not even sure we completely know the schedule yet because all the typical venues are being filled up by practice fields and stuff like that. So we'll have to do some research, clearly.
Wow, that's a mess. God, I hated to have a graduating senior this year.
Huh.
Okay. Any other what do you guys think about the three drills same day, 3 different locations? Okay, got a thumbs up from Cindy. Last year we did one in the north, one in the south. This one's kind of the same. We're just including West Seattle because I feel like they get left out a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Susie, interesting for communications. I kind of like the idea of three hubs being able to play like, they're kind of a sector.
I did
Okay.
check the Mariners schedule and they're out of town that weekend. So
Good call, Stephen. Thank you. Nice one. I didn't even think about that. Okay, cool. Yeah, and Beth, thank you for the Seattle schools thing. We'll take a look at that. Okay. Anything? Oh, I'm looking at June 10th and beyond for these dates. So I think if we go with the 7th, we're missing out on high school graduations as well. Okay. Yeah, Pride and Solstice definitely later in June. Nice. Okay, I think early June is winning.
Okay, and
Okay.
you're gonna send that out, or we're gonna add the link to the notes, or we'll put it in the email when it comes out.
Yeah, I'll create a poll real quick.
Okay, great. And if you're done with that, are we ready to move on to the next item, which
Yeah,
is
let's do.
the budget update? Okay, that
Yeah.
is Hugh.
Actually, Hugh couldn't make it, but he
Okay.
did give me the numbers. This is how much we have in our checking account.
Hugh's
For you
on.
guys.
Hugh's here.
Oh, Hugh. Read off the slide, Hugh.
I am here, but you've got the number right. So that's basically all I have to say.
There we go. Thank you, Hugh. The last purchase we made was Hugh bought me 10 reams of paper because I'm starting to print forms to go in people's hub boxes. I will send out the math of kind of what we think you need. And then anybody that wants the forms printed, just let me know. And it's not a bad process. For those of you that don't know, we have a giant guillotine paper cutter. It cuts like 300 to 400 pieces of paper at the same time. So it is very fast process.
Next item is in the news, Jim and Ann.
I know you've had a reporter talk to you about the hubs thing. Is there anything you wanted to say about that?
It was just somebody that writes for the Finneywood blog, um, the spouse of one of our team members. And so I sat down with him and explained things, what we do, what we're up to. And then he wrote up an article. Lesson learned, I should have asked to read it before he published it. Um, nothing critical, nothing big, but lesson learned.
That's kind of why I wanted Jim to talk, because I knew that he did learn that, and I wouldn't have thought about that. Has anybody ever asked to read what somebody writes up before they print it?
When I've been interviewed, I often do get a courtesy. They're not going to change content necessarily, but they are looking for me to correct errors. So it is legit to ask. A good one
Yeah.
will think to do that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
good tip.
there were things I said that, well, I believe like there was this power outage in West Seattle, and Cindy realized, we don't have any medical facilities over here. And I'm not he didn't put, I don't remember what he put in, but the difference between my kind of speculating and whatever, I just assumed he knew what I was saying, what was truth and what was not. But yeah, it turned out fine, and we got some good press.
There were a couple things that came out over email, Anne, about press. Was there something else, some other press recently?
There were a
Okay.
couple links that we sent out. We got a TikTok video made of us. That's on YouTube. Somebody else referenced the TikTok video, Jim's thing, and then there was one other piece of news.
The next one is the summary of the audit of the Office of Emergency Management with the city.
Yeah. So right before the meeting started, Catherine sent out an email about this. So we're just going to talk about it real quick. Last summer, the Office of Emergency Management underwent an audit, an organizational review, and that was put into play by the last mayor. So the audit kind of sat there for a while, and then they just reviewed it at a meeting last week or so at the Public Safety Committee. There's a lot of numbers here. This is just one slide out of the PowerPoint that they used. The PowerPoint will be sent to you with the recap of this meeting. I think it's fascinating to go through the PowerPoint because it's really well done. Anyway, they did city by city comparisons. So Seattle, Denver, and Portland. They also did San Francisco, but I dropped the numbers off because it wasn't an apples and apples comparison at all. Our population is the highest. Our FTEs, as far as those working in the Office of Emergency Management, aren't necessarily reflective of that. Portland has a smaller community and quite a few more bodies working there. I think this was very interesting. The budget for OEM, 2.9 million versus 9 million and 9 million. So grossly underfunded. And that's kind of the gist of the whole presentation was OEM is very underfunded, especially in the community engagement area. One last thing was I thought this was kind of interesting. EMAP certification is emergency management, something, accrediting body. I don't know. You jump through a lot of hoops to prove to a body that kind of oversees emergency management that yes, you are doing what needs to be done to keep your city safe. You have all the plans, you're doing all the right thinking, you're checking back in, you're refining your plans, all that kind of stuff. So Seattle's kind of leading the charge with this because we have been EMAP certified for as long as I've been involved with OEM. Denver is seeking recertification, and Portland has basically said, nope, not worth the time or effort. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, we're going to send out the PowerPoint presentation. I think it's very interesting. The gist of it is they're not funded well enough, and they are getting more funding this year. They've already started getting it, and it's going to continue rolling in. Cindy, was there anything you wanted to say about the meeting?
No, it was good. What was interesting was when the council members were asking the consultants questions, every one of those council members recounted some story or what their involvement is in emergency management. And every one of them was in some way was like, good, we need to be talking about being prepared for emergencies. So I'm really encouraged by the composition of the actual committee working on public safety and emergency management. So Bob Kettle, Councilmember Kettle, is the chair, and he's been very receptive to our input.
The next item is donation page for the Hub Network.
This is our website. Matt was able to put a button here. It's the third one down. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. It says donate via Seattle Parks Foundation. When you click on that button, it will take you to Seattle Parks Foundation to a page where you can choose a recurring donation, a one-time donation, the amount of your choosing, all that kind of stuff. You can dedicate it to someone. It's very cool. So anyway, just wanted to point out that we have the ability now to get donations through the Seattle Parks Foundation. They do take 10% because they are our fiscal sponsor. But it's just one more way to build up our coffers.
Just to be clear that this is money for network costs, like the printing of all the forms for all the drill, so it's not for hubs to come and go, hey, can we tap this for something specific at our hub? Is that correct?
That is correct. It will get added to that 2,500 that Hugh said we have in our checking account at the moment. Yeah. So network stuff. Hubs, if you have used Seattle Parks Foundation, you can do the same thing we're doing. You can get donations, straight to Seattle Parks for your individual hub.
And for the hubs that I'm working with that aren't using them, we'll talk about it afterwards, because you can join afterwards and become a client, but separate process.
So the money though doesn't go directly to our account though, right? We have to request it from them for specific purposes.
Correct. We have to spend the money and then give them a receipt and they will reimburse us.
Okay.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Matt.
I think it's great to have that because it's just something that we can include even when we do the drills and we have neighbors come in. Maybe there's some way to start to publicize that, even if people don't give the first time, some other time they might, if they're aware that that's an option. So I think that's really great.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
And
other
thanks.
questions on that, or and anything you wanted to add?
Just thanks, Matt, for getting that button up on the website.
Yeah, no problem.
Next item, communicating with hub volunteers and neighbors post-disaster. Anne?
This came out of a conversation I had with Jeff Silverman. He was talking me through what he's done in his hub as far as giving his volunteers a way to talk to one another before the hub opens. So and Jeff, I'm going to summarize kind of what you told me, but basically there's a plastic bag on the outside of the hub box with paper and markers in it, and hopefully more plastic bags. So a neighbor can come by and say, I showed up. I think it's too late to open up the hub this evening, but I'll be back at 7 a.m. or I'll be back at sunrise or whatever. So anybody else coming to the hub sees this message in a plastic bag, probably taped to the hub box or a magnet or whatever. So just trying to give volunteers or even neighbors some guidance on when this hub is going to open up, especially if you're looking at it like very close to dark. So that was one idea of just how to help your volunteers coordinate about when you're going to actually open up the hub. The other one, I can't remember who was talking to me about this, but I thought it was a genius idea, and I just thought I'd throw it out there. Grabbing a large sheet, like going to Goodwill and buying a cheap sheet and hanging it from their garage door and having something on it written ahead of time, because you don't want to do this post earthquake, but emergency hub open, sun up to sundown, Mariners Park, neighbors supporting neighbors. So big, bold, cheap sign, hang it on your garage door and leave it there for anybody walking by. So I just thought garage doors, sheets, paint, it's a really cheap, fast way to create a sign now that you might use in the future, and then hang it up, and it's just getting the message out. Any other thoughts about how you would get the word out post earthquake, post disaster?
we have a procedure for how to guess if you're sitting in your house after the ground stops shaking, how to look around you to see if it's probably a good idea to check if the hub is opening. We also discovered that those white plastic shipping bags from Amazon, you can write on those in Sharpie. And so that's what we're doing. We take one of those bags and write on it with a Sharpie and then post it on the door of our hub bunker.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Madison Valley has about half a dozen signs that stick into the ground, kind of like you see around election time, and it points to where the hub is located. And we could probably also indicate its hours.
Nice.
Guidance and hosting a household prep event through OEM.
I wrote up a guide on what are the steps to request a speaker from the Office of Emergency Management for a household preparedness event. Quite a few hubs in the North End are doing these, so I thought I'd just write it up. And it's just, what's the link to request a speaker from the Office of Emergency Management to teach this, and stuff to think about. So anyway, we'll include it with the follow-on from this meeting, and it'll be in the Hub Drive. It is called Hosting a Household Prep Event through Office of Emergency Management. And just FYI, there's another document in the Google Drive that is just like hosting an event. It's just a more generic guidance, some things to think about.
Are those events like the SNAP events, or is it something different from that?
This would be, so a SNAP event is typically a group of neighbors.
Neighbors, okay.
A volunteer from the Office of Emergency Management will go into someone's living room and teach SNAP.
Okay.
This is more of a large event open to the whole community.
Susie, on our YouTube channel, we did a class on doing outreach to your neighborhood.
Mhm.
So be sure and check the YouTube channel for that. It's just a series of ideas about venues to use, how to connect with people.
We already have the Broadview Library book. I think Anne is teaching that class, according to Pat, in March. It's just that, at least in the two Broadview neighborhoods, the best way that we've had to reach people is just posting signs, which gets to be arduous because you have to go post them and then take them all down in a timely manner. And so,
yeah, the video has other ideas than just because that's brutal.
Yes.
Brutal. The guide for doing this event with the Office of Emergency Management does suggest asking OEM to post it on their website. And there's also a link to get it on the Department of Neighborhoods calendar. And that's just a couple clicks, so super easy.
See, the next item is the radio designator list updated, and that's Cindy.
Radio designators are for use during the disaster when we're working with our ham radio friends and they are using the forms, the ICS 217 forms that we, 217, 213, yeah,
213
forms that we have in our packets. And the radio designator is so that they don't have to write, this message is from Holler Lake or Morgan Junction. We picked four characters to stand for each hub. So to find them, they are in our master file. If you had never looked, we track them here. So Admiral, ADML. And for those of you who kind of renamed yourselves during our most recent work through with the communications, we verified that, everything still makes sense. So this is what I shipped off to ACS today. We generally do this, try to do it every year or so that they've got it. And that's how we'll be numbering our forms. So if the message comes from Admiral, the message number is ADML-1- whatever. So just a refresher of radio communications is important, and we do keep this here. So
is that something where we need to send out, or we're going to send out? Or
I forgot to say it. No, it's in the Google Drive. It's not worth us sending out. I sent it to ACS, the point contact. He will send it to the rest of the team. You all should know your hub designator, and it's there on the master file to look. And I've put it into the short list in two places. One is in the radio folder in our drive, and the other one is in the new hub information folder. So as new hub come on board, there it is so that they can look at it.
And we'll send it out with the wrap up from this. Ideally, every hub captain would print it out and throw it in their radio book. Their job description for the radio operator. You could even print two of them and put one in the radio assistant and one in the radio operator. I don't know that hub captains need to know these, but your radio folks really do.
Hey, Ann, so maybe I don't know if I'll contact Carl. He was going to take it because we have it alphabetically, and he, I think, was going to create a sector by sector version, which is probably going to be a more helpful sort for people to have. So let me touch
Yeah.
base with him and say, if he does that, can he zip that back to us, or I'll just create one tonight and then you'll have it ready for the minutes. I'll just
Okay.
do that. It's easier.
Next is Jeff.
Thank you. So, I had an idea that I wanted to have a drill sometime this summer where all of the hubs that are able to do so stand up at the same time. And the objective of the exercise is to check out how the hub system works at large scale. So the hubs are supposed to work autonomously, and there's something to be said about that because if all hell breaks loose and nobody can talk to anybody, you want hubs to be able to operate autonomously, but the hubs can, and we do, also work cooperatively. So I can think of four scenarios where it's important that the hubs be able to talk to each other. One is if there's a hub that's got a glut of volunteers and a nearby hub has got a shortage of volunteers. Another is if there is a big problem, like a hotel or a large homeless shelter. Another scenario is the city wants status information or has got instructions for a particular hub. If the city has instructions for all hubs, they would broadcast that over Cairo or Como. So that's not a concern. And finally, the fourth scenario is I am safe messages. So Seattle Public Schools has got roughly 45,000 children. They've got 90,000 parents. So there are going to be a whole bunch of I am safe messages going back and forth. And we have to figure out how to do that. Now, for this exercise, we're going to need involvement of the city and perhaps the county and maybe the state. I've given up on FEMA. And I don't want to make this proposal too complicated, but I also don't want to pass up an opportunity either to go get other agencies involved. So I kind of want to have a discussion about this idea. And so my first question is this a good idea? It might not be. I really don't know. And the second question is it feasible? It might not be. The third question is, assuming that it's something that we want to do and it might be feasible, how do we go about accomplishing it? So I have a proposal, assuming that all of us agree that this is something that we ought to do and it's doable. I propose to form a committee of hub captains and radio operators and anybody else who wants to join it to go reach out to the Seattle OEM and possibly King County OEM and the state OEM and the Seattle City Council Public Safety Committee to invite them to participate in this. And this committee would create a page on the Seattle Emergency Hub's website. We'll have a report for the next meeting of this August gathering. And that's the proposal. So does anybody have any ideas?
Great, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I saw one hand go up pretty early. Cindy, did you have a comment? And then I see Kurt after that.
Jeff, we will have to talk about the scope. I am safe messages will not be used between students and parents. I am safe is specific to be from inside the disaster zone to your out of area contact outside the disaster zone. So we just need to bound your whatever you're doing a little bit more closely.
Okay, you've made it bigger then because now it's 750,000 people. And I understand. You're right. I agree with you.
I think the terminology is important. I think that's what she's saying.
Yep. Okay. I'll drink to that.
Okay, let's see what other questions we have. We might not be able to get everything answered now. Kurt, you're next, and then Mark and Catherine after that.
Okay, I wanted to say that our hub is very interested in what kinds of things we might want to talk to other hubs about. We agree that uh, exchanging volunteers if a nearby hub needs volunteers or has extra volunteers is a good thing. If there are any other ideas for the kinds of messages that we would want to share with adjacent hubs, our hub is working on this on a sector basis.
Okay, Mark, you're next.
Yeah, Jeff, in your scenario, would it be necessary for all of the hubs to fully stand up, or could we have a minimal deployment? So we wouldn't necessarily have to run the information tent, the education tent, and so on. You really just seems like you're wanting a hub manager and maybe some radio communications and things like that. Would a more minimal deployment be acceptable?
I don't know. Maybe. I haven't thought about that. That's a good question.
Thanks, Mark. Catherine and then Jody.
So there's been a few times when I've been somewhat interested in scenarios being run through GMRS that really do have to do with adjacent hubs. We were on North Capitol Hill, and we had scenarios that were affecting, areas around Broadway and East Lake. So you're really talking adjacent sectors, adjacent hubs, and you needed to have better capacity for runners who are able to manage those messages between at least the hub captain and the radio. And you needed to have the GMRS networking functionality and management, having the facilitating and everyone being trained on when are we on a local channel just for the three hubs around us, because Godzilla's on Broadway, marching down Broadway with dinosaurs following him. When we had our citywide exercise a couple of years ago, Homer Harris, Madison Valley, and Burn Bray were all up. I tried to ingest an issue that there's a major fire down on MLK. That would be between us and Madison Valley. But the exercise wasn't set up for the radio practice to practice something new. They had a script. So yes, we need practice with at least the relevant people to manage things coming up like a fire between Homer Harris and Madison Valley, right? So we're going to want to collaborate. I mean, we could walk to each other. I would love to see more practice like that. But I'm not sure if that isn't something that requires all these other agencies. It's more, how are we organized and how are we managing our GMRS and allowing the communications and facilitating that. Love to see it.
Hey, thanks, Catherine. Jody?
Yes, it seems to me that what we need is maybe 4 or 5 people to if we had 4 people to represent each of these stations who had done it and knew what was going on, and then we had radio people, we could practice some scenarios, even sitting in a room someplace, and work out some of the kinks without using lots of energy to get everything set up, because it seems to me that what we're talking about here is communication. So we should focus on that if we do something to work on communication. Over.
Great, thanks. Jeff, do you have any thoughts you want to respond to?
They've all raised good points, and I'd like to continue the discussion. And so, if there are people who are interested in pursuing this, please get in touch with me. I'll put my email address in the chat
Great.
and see if they're, because you raised good questions, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And
Catherine, did Godzilla really march down Broadway?
That was in a Capitol Hill exercise. They're very creative.
It wasn't
They're very
actually
creative.
Godzilla, it was just a large dinosaur.
very fun. We can go to sharing best practices.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone have anything they would like to share that they have tried or they've done recently that they thought was successful, or anything else we would include in that, Anne?
I'm going to ask, I saw Jessica posted in the chat. She's looking for a good, useful flyer for her first big organizing, come learn about a hub. It's not like a class, but it's a recruiting. So those of you who have done this, if you had a good flyer, Jessica, put your email in the chat and we'll see if people can pass you something. Because some of you have developed some really good best practices around communication and outreach.
Why don't we move on to around the room? We'll start in the Northeast or Northwest again, like we usually do. Anybody in the Northwest have anything they would like to share?
Finney Hub is having a skills fair on March 22nd, and we're preparing a small Sparks grant to purchase hub equipment. And so we're using the skills fair to generate the hours for our half of the matching. And we're also purchasing 5-gallon buckets to give away twin bucket toilets.
Great.
I correct me if I'm wrong, Anne, but Crown Hill Hub is having a one-on-one event on the 15th of February.
Yes. Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah. So another Hub 101.
All right.
This is
Go ahead,
Jody
Hope.
from Ballard Commons.
Go ahead, Jody.
This is just an idea I had. I want to go back through all the station packets and be sure what should be in them is, etc. So a couple days I have brought home all the packets to my house, but it's too big a job. So I've decided I am going to do 2 a month, which makes it easier to get them home for just a short time and do them. And I think I will actually get it done. So I'm working on if you set yourself up a huge task, something will come in the way of getting it done. But if you break it down into manageable segments, the odds go up considerably. That's it.
That's a good idea. All right. Anybody from Northeast?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, did anybody in the South End stand up hubs in response to the flooding or weather that we had recently? There was some discussion. People were asking if hubs were going to stand up in Discord, but I didn't know of any specifically. And it seemed like it may have been an opportunity, but I don't have any contacts down there. I'm just curious if anyone heard of it.
No, as far as I know, Anne in South Park didn't, and it's because they had communications. There was no issues. Everybody could, use their usual channels of helping each other. They also actually didn't have any incidents. The SPU has done a great deal of work, and so there was no overflows.
Yeah, okay.
Did you say you were having an event, Matt, earlier in the evening?
Yeah, so there's a Ravenna community group separate from the community association. I'm not sure what the scope of it is, but they mentioned that they wanted to talk about communication and disaster preparedness. So we're going to talk about it. I don't know I don't think it's that there's like time dedicated to bring somebody in, but there's some interest from more people. So that's exciting, and I'll have to talk to them about the hub and get more people on board.
Mhm.
So nothing to put on this schedule yet. Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Let's see. Central West.
That would be me.
That would be you, Bill.
Yes. A few things. I'm developing a new website. I'll let you know more later. Recently, we had a nice event. It involved Frank Gall putting together, along with me and the other new hub captain, his name is Rich Monroe, reaching out to medical professionals in the Magnolia neighborhood. It's based on the idea that any major catastrophe, Magnolia is going to be an island, whether it's the bridges down or inner bays impassable or whatever. So what is the medical people stranded in Magnolia going to do? So we put out this word and brought them all together at the library last Thursday and actually invited Ann Forrest to come through and give sort of a brief overview of healthcare in a catastrophe. Basically talking, and we had 8 people of various credentials come in and share some of their thoughts. So we're starting to move to develop some sort of a coalition with the medical people here in Magnolia. It's still kind of sketchy as to how cooperative everybody's going to be, but at least we got started in talking to people and explaining to people what really happens and what the city will and maybe not do in the case of a catastrophe, and how we here in Magnolia have to be really prepared to be on our own. So other than that, we're still here. Queen Anne is kind of quiet right now. I have moved away, so I don't know what they're going to be doing over there. The Queen Anne Community Council has got some emergency people teaching classes and stuff like that, so maybe they'll come up with something to develop Queen Anne. Miqua Hubs is gone. That sort of collaborative organization has sort of fell apart. And so now I'm the hub captain here in Magnolia. And we're now called the Magnolia Village Emergency Hub. That's it.
Bill, how did you find the medical professionals in your community? Did you advertise or?
Well, we advertised, we sent out sort of like press releases to churches, local newspapers, city council, Magnolia Council newsletters and stuff like this, and just posted it around and pretty much got the word out.
All right. Anyone else from Central West? All right. We'll move to Central Core. Anybody from that area? Okay. Central East. Okay. Southwest.
Southwest. So we've got a couple brand new hub captains here tonight. So I'm going to cover for folks. What we're proposing to do here in both West Seattle, South Park is we're in the middle of setting a schedule up where somewhat what Ann has organized up in the north ones, a hub basics class in March to just sort of do some reboot, refresh. And we have 14 active hubs here in West Seattle. So everybody comes to all the events. 101 in April, a preparedness and a community level discussion about preparedness in West Seattle in May. And then on May 30th is an urban survival skills fair for one of our elementary schools. And we're going to extend the invitation to all West Seattle residents there, and then looking to participate together in the June exercise.
Great. Did you want us to share a date on the April 101 on the list of things we sent out? There's plenty of time. It's still early.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I have not heard from a couple of hub captains that that's really going to work, but that's kind of our general going in plan.
Great.
That's
So that was Southwest. Anybody Southeast?
Is Rachel still on?
see.
I don't see Rachel, but I know that they are in the process of getting ready to submit their grant, and that's supposed to be in by the end of the month. So the food forest is moving on.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I'm just going to go through some of the things we talked about that we might send out just as reminders. And if I forget something, we said we'd send out links to the job descriptions, links to a poll for the drill date, the OEM PowerPoint slide you had, something about OEM household prep. Maybe we could send the link for the YouTube channel video on how to reach out to neighbors. That sounded useful, Cindy, that you mentioned. Or people can go to the YouTube and look for it if we don't have the link for that. And then there's multiple events. There's a Holler Lake event on January 31st, on March 11th, Wedgwood, Crown Hill, February 15th, and a March 22nd, Finney Skills Fair. I think I caught everything out of the chat, but if there was something that I missed, or there are other things there I should be catching? Is that where you're pulling it up there for me, Cindy?
Yep, I'm skimming through it really fast.
Okay. If you see something, let me know. I'll write it down right now and we'll type it up.
There is something that Anne was involved in. Where there's a 4-session on inclusive emergency preparedness for people with access and functional needs. So we've put that on our calendar because she helped put together that. Jeff, there's your event. But yeah, don't this thing is changing about every third day now because we keep getting confirmations of rooms and stuff like that. So don't
Is that
forget
lunch
to
series the virtual meeting?
Pardon me?
Is that lunch series virtual?
Yes, it's Zoom.
Yes.
It's 30 minutes, really fast.
Okay. So we can put a reminder to check out the calendar
There's the
and see
skills
what's
fair.
going on there as well.
Yep. Hey, and when you guys do things like your skills fair, always throw a copy of your flyer in one of the PR folders, just somewhere, because I have lots of new hub captains looking for good examples, and I was looking today, and all of them are like 3 years old. So I'd like new creative flow happening.
Great. All right. Any last questions from anyone? And then I'll give Anne a chance to see if she had any last thoughts, or Cindy.
Yeah, I'm going to answer. You don't see the Montlake on there because they just confirmed that yesterday, and I'm
Okay.
in the middle of writing the promo to get it on the calendar.
Great. All right. Anne, any last comments?
No, nothing else. Good job,
Okay.
guys.
All right. Great, everyone. It was good to see you all. Linda, do you have your hand up, or you're waving goodbye? Okay, great. Good to see everyone. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.